This is the Kafue River. It is Zambia's most critical natural resource, currently supplying drinking water to 5 million people. Roughly 60% of the population lives within this basin. For them, basic survival, farming and fishing, depends entirely on this water. On February 18, 2025, that health was compromised. A tailings dam at a copper mine collapsed, unleashing 50 million liters of toxic waste into the waterways feeding the Kafue. The impact was immediate. Massive fish die-offs choked the river, and authorities were forced to shut off the entire water supply to Kitwe, a city of 700,000 people, to prevent a public health disaster. Typically, the sudden destruction of a nation's most vital resource triggers an immediate and aggressive defense of its land and its laws. Under normal circumstances, the Zambian government would heavily penalize the foreign corporation responsible for such severe domestic damage. Here is the barrier to accountability. Zambia owes over $4 billion in debt to China, the same nation that owns the mine. The power shift occurred in 2020. After Zambia defaulted on repayments, debt restructuring granted China massive economic leverage over the country's future. This creates a paralyzed state. A nation cannot effectively protect its environment when the entity destroying it is the same one ensuring the country's economic survival. The Sino Metals leach mining operation occupies a massive footprint in the Copperbelt province. Its heavy industrial infrastructure operates directly alongside residential neighborhoods. Following the spill, the company moved to silence the victims. They approached local farmers whose crops were destroyed and forced them to sign non-disclosure agreements in exchange for basic compensation. This chart shows the scale of the cover-up. An independent firm found the spill released 1.5 million tons of toxic material, 30 times more than admitted. The waste contained dangerous levels of cyanide and arsenic, carrying severe risks of organ damage and cancer. Upon receiving these findings, Sino Metals Leach immediately fired the investigation firm and buried the report. While the Zambian government claimed the situation was under control, the U.S. Embassy disagreed. 6 months later, they ordered all American personnel to leave the area due to ongoing contamination and the presence of airborne hazards. Absolute economic leverage allows a foreign corporation to dictate the narrative. They can hide data, silence the victims, and effectively erase the catastrophe. By May 2026, the focus shifted to the capital city of Lusaka, site of RightsCon, a global digital rights summit expecting 2,600 international attendees. Days before the event began, the Zambian government abruptly canceled the entire conference, citing vague conflicts with national values. The actual cause was direct pressure from the Chinese Communist Party. The CCP demanded that the summit exclude all Taiwanese participants and censor specific discussions regarding human rights. The Zambian government capitulated. They prioritized their relationship with their primary debt holder over their own laws protecting the right to assemble. Foreign economic dominance has mutated into a tool for political control. An authoritarian superpower is now using its position as a creditor to export its own censorship laws, enforcing them directly within the borders of a sovereign democracy. The devastation remains unresolved. 900,000 cubic meters of toxic waste are still in the environment, while 176 farmers are currently pursuing an $80 billion lawsuit against the mining firms. The driver behind this crisis is a global one. The massive stacks of copper seen here are essential for the electric vehicles and green technology the world is rushing to build. This is malign alignment. Authoritarian regimes weaponize the global demand for critical minerals by using predatory investments to trap developing nations. These nations are forced to make two sacrifices: the permanent destruction of their physical environment and the surrender of their democratic autonomy. Unless global democracies offer viable, non-predatory economic partnerships, developing nations will be left with a grim choice: sell off their land and their laws, or face economic collapse.